Tonight, opposition NPP is escalating its fight over Abronye DC's detention, petitioning the diplomatic community in Ghana over what it calls a breach of its constitutional rights and a sustained parting of political intimidation by government.
It is important for us to display to the entire world how President Mahama and his government, they are stifling free speech, they are suffocating free speech.
Meanwhile, the minority has raised concerns about the deteriorating health condition of Abronye DC, who was remanded into BNI custody for making derogatory remarks against a circuit court judge.
You go to police, they will toss you back and forth. It was only on Saturday that his wife was able to see him briefly. His wife was allowed to see him briefly because she's family. And her feedback to us is that his health is deteriorated significantly.
We have details plus the reasons the circuit court judge has given for denying the Bono NPP chairman bail. This is Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel, Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. This is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi and ATL 100.5 in Cape Coast and several of our affiliates across the country. Now, the New Patriotic Party has petitioned the diplomatic community over what it calls a sustained parting of political intimidation by the NDC government. The party in its petition named at least 14 sympathizers who it says are victims of government-sponsored persecution, harassment, intimidation, and criminalization of free expression. Members of the NPP have recently been complaining about what they say is a culture of silence creeping into the society, but that recent move to petition the diplomatic community seemed to have been triggered by the arrest and detention of its Bono regional chairman, Abronye DC. My colleague Caleb Ziblim joins me in studio with details of the petition by the NPP. Caleb, what concerns does the minority or the NPP raise in this petition?
Yes, Bray. So the NPP released an 8-page letter earlier today as a petition directed at the diplomatic corps. And then in that petition, like you said, they named at least 14 of persons affiliated with the NPP or members of the NPP who have been picked up under Section 208 of the Criminal Code Act, which says that any person that publishes false statements likely to cause fear or disturb public peace is a misdemeanor, and then you can do jail time of up to 3 years based on the current laws. So the NPP, in that statement, they say that most of their members have been picked up so far, and then most of them, the issues or the reasons for their members being picked up by the security services does not warrant the criminal or the court intervention. According to the NPP, the security institutions are being weaponized by the current NDC administration. Again, they say that the arrests are politically motivated, and that some NDC supporters who make similar utterances are not being prosecuted or picked up. But then when an NPP person makes such utterances, then they are picked up. Again, the party is saying that there's a growing wave of bail denials whenever some NPP supporters are picked up, and then when they go to court for their bail hearings, most of them are denied bail. And finally, they say that based on the evidence that's available to them, this is a growing pattern of political intimidation, and then they are asking the diplomatic community to intervene.
Now, I'm sure once this petition has gone, they added some recommendations. So what do they want the diplomatic corps to do regarding the concerns that they've raised?
Yes, so they gave some lists to the diplomatic corps, but then it's broadly into 3 main areas. So they are asking them to monitor the development that's ongoing, and then juxtapose that to what they had in their petition with the number of party members that have been picked out so far, and then how they are being treated. So the first step or the first petition or recommendation was that they should monitor the various developments. Again, they want them to engage the government. So this is the main crux of the matter. They want the diplomatic corps to speak with some of the government officials and engage them over what they have put in their petition. And then finally, they want also the diplomatic corps to engage some of the state security heads and then encourage them to stay neutral, because according to the petition, most of the security agencies are now being used by the political axis. So the petition wants the diplomatic corps to monitor the developments ongoing, engage the government, and then also encourage neutrality of state institutions.
Do stay with me. I'll come back to you, because minority is criticizing the continuous detention of the Bono Regional Chairman of the NPP, Abronye DC. Now, speaking on the media news, MP for Fonsia Yerebi and Counsel for Abronye DC, Kojo Nkrumah, raised worrying concerns over what he describes as a lack of information from authorities on his client's health status, following reports that his condition is critical.
They are not allowing the lawyers access to see him since Wednesday. He's in BNI custody. You go there, they'll tell you that it's a police case, so go to police. You go to police, they'll toss you back and forth. It was only on Saturday that his wife was able to see him briefly. His wife was allowed to see him briefly because she's family. And her feedback to us is that his health is deteriorated significantly. You know, he was unwell and had to go out of the country briefly. His health is deteriorated significantly, and he's in dire condition, and they will not allow lawyers or family access to him.
So that's a lawyer for Abronye DC, Kojo Nkrumah there. And we know that the reasons for the judge denying Abronye DC bail is out now. The judge cites the risk that he would commit further offenses if freed as one of the reasons, or as a reason for denying him bail. We will be joined by Kweku Asante, who is a member of our legal affairs desk, to give us details. Kweku, I mean, let's deal with the reasons the judge has been giving. What has he been saying forming the basis upon which he denied bail to Abronye?
Report of the court that actually goes into the detail in terms of the thinking behind the decision, and it's a lengthy ruling which captures all that was happening. But ultimately, if you come to the last about 2 paragraphs of the entire thing by court, it says counsel for the accused prayed for bail on the grounds that the accused was already granted bail by the police. Counsel further submitted that the accused will be available before the court to answer to the charge leveled against him. The prosecution, in its submission, opposed these bail grounds that the accused, the prosecution, I should say, in its submission, opposed the bail on grounds that the accused will commit further offenses when granted bail. Prosecution relied on certain sections of Act 30 and Act 29 to anchor this argument. The court considered the arguments put up by both counsel for the accused and the prosecution. The court is of the view that when granted bail, the accused will commit further offenses. This court specifically relies on Section 96(5)(c) and D of Act 30 of 1960. Accordingly, the bail application is refused, and the accused is hereby remanded into BNI custody to appear before the court at the next agenda date. So the argument in court by lawyers was that, of course, Mr. Abronye had people of means who stand surety for him. The prosecution opposed that given that Mr. Abronye had actually been granted bail in some previous offense and had committed this further offense, their view was that if he were to be granted bail, he would go and commit more of such offenses while on bail. And the judge, His Honor Joseph Yenuban Kunson, the Circuit Court judge, found favor in that argument and held that, in his view, if Chairman Abronye was to be granted bail, he will commit further offenses while on bail, for which reason he decided to refuse him bail. So it's a 5-page ruling, but most of it actually recounts all the argument, the back and forth between the prosecution and the lawyers for Kwame Bafo Abronye, until the judge ultimately concluded that he is unable to grant bail because, in his view, should he grant bail, Abronye will commit further offenses, which obviously is anchored on Act 30, the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act, Section 96(5)(c). Brace.
I'm grateful to you, Kweku Asante, there, giving us details of this judgment. Now, there you have it. And as he said, The judge says accordingly, the bail application by counsel for the accused is refused. The accused is hereby remanded into the BNI custody to reappear before the court at the next adjourned date. The prosecution is also ordered to conclude their work and the disclosure within 14 days to ensure speedy trial of this matter. The case is adjourned to 27th May 2026. Well, we've been joined on the telephone lines by Henry Nana Boache, who is national organizer of the NPP. I'm grateful to you, Henry, for joining us here. Now, the judge relied on the law to deny bail to Abronye DC. Why is that a matter that you find so worthy to take to the diplomatic corps?
Good evening. The judge did not rely on any law. How can you say that somebody who is presumed, or an accused who is presumed innocent until proven guilty, how do you pronounce that person guilty even when the person has pleaded not guilty? Because if you read the ruling, the natural connotation is that you have committed the offense already. So if I release you, you are going to commit a similar offense. So for that matter, I'm going to incarcerate you until in fact, even in court, he just adjusted and amended his ruling. Because in court, when we're in court, he said that Abronye should be incarcerated until the final matter is determined. Because he received some serious public bashing, after 6 days, he has amended his ruling. Because it's even weird. Court 9, I know Court 9 very well. It's a digital court. Just when the proceedings are ongoing, then the secretary there is typing. It appears on the screens before the prosecutor and the lawyers for the accused. And there's also another screen before the judge. So it's even strange that after 6 days, we are now getting the records of proceedings. It's even strange. So he did not rely on any law. He has badly misapplied the law.
Well, but the law...
And you see, that is not the first time. You see, that is why we keep saying that some judges are allowing themselves to be used by elements in government circles.
Well, Henry, do stay there for me now. If you look at Section 96(5)(c) that he relied upon, 5, it says, a court shall refuse to grant bail if it is satisfied that the defendant, now he quoted C, the C says, may commit a further offense when on bail. That's the law.
So that is what I'm saying, that so if the person has pleaded not guilty, and already he's been granted bail, we should not forget, he was arrested by the police, and he was granted bail before the very day he appeared before the court. So even if the police, in their own judgment, felt that Abronye should not be granted bail, they would have used the 48-hour window. But rather, Abronye was granted bail that same day. So how then do you say that, look, if I release you, you will go on to commit other offense?
Well, but we all know that the police have a specific time within which they have to grant bail to someone. But the court sat on it and said, I'm relying upon this provision in the law.
No, Kojo, you are not listening to me. What I'm saying is that...
I'm listening to you.
If you are not listening, what I'm saying is that if the police wanted to keep Abronye,
yes,
or wanted to operate on the 48-hour rule, they would have done so. But they did not. Abronye was even invited. He was not even arrested. He was invited. He went with his lawyers. And then he was arrested. And then that same day, even less than 12 hours, that same day, he was granted bail. So what I'm saying is that even the police, if the police needed, or if the police was of the view that Abronye could commit other offense, they could have used the 48-hour window so that by 48 hours, they say that, look, they can still go to court and say that, look, if we allow this person to go, he's still going to commit other offense. What we are saying is that...
But if you say I wasn't listening to you, what you've just explained is basically in opposition to what the court has, for the police. They have 48 hours to do that. The court has remanded him for more than 48 hours because to the judge, he will commit other offense.
But that is what I'm saying, that for me, it is wrong. What other offense? It is not as if he's committed some offense. He has pleaded not guilty. So you cannot presume the person guilty until the person begins to prove his innocence. You cannot. You cannot do so.
But
he has not been convicted of. You see, let's be very clear. Abronye has not been convicted of any offense. In fact, it can be claimed that you have committed an offense when a court of competent jurisdiction has pronounced that you have committed this offense. In this case, Abronye has not committed any offense. It has not been pronounced in any court that Abronye has committed a particular offense. So Abronye should have committed a particular offense, and based on that, the judge would then rely on that offense he's been convicted of to then make further pronouncement that because you have made or because you have committed this offense, if I release you, you will continue to commit other offense or other offenses. So that is why we are saying that this, for me, connotes some predetermined mindset. But then in court, we heard him clearly that Abronye should be incarcerated until the final matter is determined. Who does that? A misdemeanor? A misdemeanor? In any case, what Abronye say? That a certain judge is a political judge. That is why we are saying that there is this culture of wanton criminalization of free speech under President Mahama. And this is brewed from the seat of government. You recall that President Mahama himself said that, look, now they have a certain technology and then they are going to chase people, those who are on social media passing comments. So now, if you pass comments that is unfavorable to the government, you are chased and you are caged. But from this, look, the last time your senior colleague at multimedia, Samson Ladia Hineni, cataloged all the offenses under NPP in which the section 208, 207 was activated, and then also under NDC. And in less than 2 years, Samson concluded that NDC have misapplied, have abused this law far more than the 8-year tenure of NPP. What Abronye said is not different from when Mustafa Gbande says that Madam or Chief Justice Tokunu is the national women's organizer for the NPP.
But Henry, why not use the law court to make this case, but invite the diplomatic corps into our domestic affairs?
No, it is because now the diplomatic and then the international community are part of our political ecosystem. They are part of it. And not only that, in fact, it is a series of activities we are going to embark on. Not only the international community or the diplomatic corps, we are also going to engage our religious leaders. We are also going to engage, in fact, we even have an appointment with the Ghana Journalists Association because they are a major stakeholder in this particular matter. Freedom of speech is one of the things that they seek to protect. In fact, we have repealed criminal libel law way before under John Ajay for His Excellency and Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who was the then Attorney General. So we have gone beyond those barbaric days. And now it looks like this government is seeking to reintroduce the criminal libel law through the back door by abusing the section 208, 207 of the Criminal Offences Act.
Okay.
And you see, if you consider the David Asano case, what did the person say? The person just posted on social media that Dumso is back with the inscription and with the image of President Mahama. And then you had to sanction an operation from Accra here, 2 Land Cruisers, 10 well-built men with sophisticated guns, just to go and arrest David Asano Meanwhile, there's a police station at Gonaswedru. Then David is brought to Accra to an unknown location. The following day, we combed everywhere.
Okay.
And everywhere we went, they denied knowledge of the said operation. Until close about 5 p.m. when BNI said that we should come there and then they intend to interrogate him. I was shocked when indeed the interrogation centered on the fact that he had posted something on his social media page, a billboard with the president's image with an inscription, Dumso is back. But Dumso is back, for heaven's sake.
Okay, Harry, I'm grateful. Do stay with me. Let me bring in Martin Pebu, who is a private legal practitioner. Martin, grateful for joining us here. Now, lawyers of Abronye DC are claiming that the health of their client is deteriorating, but they do not have access to him. What does the law say about BNI detention limit? I know this one, the court is doing that, but when it comes to someone in critical condition, how does the law deal with it?
Okay, yeah, Raise. Basically, hello?
I'm with you.
Okay. Basically, the authorities in charge of the facility would take him to hospital, right? Because once he's in their custody, there's even a heightened sense of responsibility on the authorities, knowing that, hey, touch wood, if that person's condition were to deteriorate as a result of incarceration or the worst were to happen, the person were to die, it will bring, if furor, it will be a big row. So the authorities are usually minded to let the person have access to health. But we all know that generally, the more critical the situation, then the more you would prefer that the person be released on bail so that his family can also support, etc. Yes, so because you see, under the Constitution, when they talk about access to health, right, and also Article 15, dignity, etc., it's not the case that the Constitution says because you are in custody, your rights in terms of health, etc., are curtailed. No, that's not where they're curtailed. What is usually curtailed is the liberty. So you see under Article 14, then they'll tell you that under Article 14 of the Constitution, yes, when the person is serving a term of imprisonment, or if the person is in custody as a result of pending proceedings and he has not obtained bail yet, is the personal liberties of freedom of movement, communication, those ones that are curtailed to some extent. But as for health, it remains intact. And
Okay.
like I said, we all know that for especially politically exposed persons, the prison authorities, security forces, they are very sensitive to those matters. They like to give them the best of health, knowing very well that if they don't and something bad happens, there will be a very high price to pay. So you remember in the past, Victor Salome and co, they were taken to hospital. So you see that a lot of the time, Salome was in Kolebu. Currently, as we speak, well, not currently, as of sometime last week, Kofi Juma was in Kolebu,
Okay.
etc.
Okay.
Hanan, when Hanan went to Yoko, he was taken to hospital.
Okay, Martin.
Yeah.
Now, you've been at the forefront of, the struggle to ensure that when people have cases like that, they are granted bail. Should this be one of those cases where, the judge will look at it and say, well, I won't grant you bail?
No. I have no doubt whatsoever that Abronye should be entitled to bail in this case. Look, what should happen? You see, that particular provision, and let's make a quick correction. My colleague, Henry Nanabuachi, was making the point that Abronye must be convicted first before the judge will use it as grounds. That's not the case. Remember, I said I don't support his incarceration at this time. I think he should be admitted to bail, but I'm just correcting a legal point. What Section 96(5) says is that the D, if he has been charged, they didn't say convicted. So when the person is already, let's say he's been granted bail, then he goes out, then he's involved in another offense and comes before the court a second time, especially where the first one, the sentence can exceed 6 months imprisonment. So as soon as the first offense for which you are taken to court has a provision that the sentence can be a fine and up to, let's say, 3 years. Section 208 is up to a maximum of 3 years, right? From a fine up to a maximum 3 years. and then you are involved in such a similar or any other offense, then you go before the court. So that's the one that it says once you've been charged, that you go before a judge, whether that judge or another judge, the second time, when they've not even finished with the second one, that's the one the judge can invoke and say, look, you already have a first case, which could have sent you to jail for more than 6 months. And then we gave you bail. You've gone out and then you are back here again on another offense. Then in that case, even though you've not been convicted, the judge can refuse bail. But it doesn't end the Kojo brace. It doesn't end the Kojo. In the 70s, as far back, at least that's the one I know, you hear the case of Oko versus the Republic. Justice Taylor said, no, these things are not on in our society. So even more than 50 years ago, I think Oko versus the Republic is somewhere around 76. I mean, those who want to read, if you Google it, Oko versus the Republic, you see it in there. Justice Taylor went on and on, compared British law, and came down heavily that for us in this society, we shouldn't allow that law to fester. These things that we would do to curtail personal liberties, right? So what we should be looking for, we all know that Abronye has been saying certain things that we are uncomfortable with as a society. Yes, I also am aware that, yes, people call Justice Tokonu certain names that look similar, all right? I'm aware. So what we would do is that if we want to stem it, then we should have a situation where the judge, that first case that Abronye was involved in, they should do a daily trial. You remember Gyasi Kwesi's case? They said at a point, the Attorney General at the time said daily trial. When Nam1's case came and they weren't trying, they didn't want to do a daily trial, we made noise. And eventually they said daily trial. So all I'm saying in a word is that if we want to punish to stem such behavior, then those cases that have gone ahead, okay, let's do a daily trial so that we finish quickly. Then we know whether the person is innocent or guilty. If he's guilty, then he's punished. Then that could send a deterrence. But don't use pre-trial detention as punishment. No, the law frowns on it. And Kojo, the last point we should be making is that particular law, like I said, if you read Oku versus the Republic and you hear Daniel Domlevo on these matters of bail, etc., look, it's time for us to reform that part of the law. It's time. The Supreme Court, if you want to go to Supreme Court, it will take too long. But if the political actors are interested, within 30 days, we'll remove this Section 95, Section 96, subsection 5, C and D. We'll remove them quickly.
I'm grateful to you. Martin Pebu is a private legal practitioner. Henry, what is the next line of action for the NPP?
Yes, so let me quickly make this intervention. You see, Martin was responding to one leg of it. You see, I connected it to what I heard in court. I was saying that the judge said that Abronye, if granted bail, is likely to commit other offense. So he should be incarcerated until the determination of the final matter. That is what I said is wrong. Because in any case, he's not been convicted of any offense.
Okay, that's fine.
So if you add that bit, that he should be in custody until the final matter is determined, it is wrong. It's abuse of the judicial process.
Okay, what next will the NPP be doing?
Yeah, so now what we have to do and what we are doing, we've said it already, that we have series of activities, series of events planned, and this is part of it. In fact, the courtesy call we made on the dean, the head of the diplomatic corps, the dean, is just one aspect of it. President Mahama must be tolerant. His government is now, I can describe the government that is highly intolerant. And we must not criminalize free speech.
Okay.
And this attempt by elements in the government to suppress, to oppress free speech is assuming frightening heights.
Okay. All right. So
and we must all speak against this matter.
I'm grateful to you. Henry Nanabuache is national organizer of the NPP. This has been Top Story. Up next is tonight, right after these.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop.
Hello, sir. card payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Last year was the first. This year, we go bigger.
2.0, Charlie.
Accra, get ready. From the 28th to the 31st of May, 2026, the ultimate auto and homes fair lands once again at Good Park, Accra Mall. Looking for a new car?
Push to start.
Your dream home.
Home sweet home.
Or the latest home appliances to spruce up your space.
Soft life vibe.
This is your one-stop shop for the best mortgage deals, expert advice, and unbeatable offers from our auto, real estate, and home appliances partners. Don't just dream it. Come to Good Park from the 28th to the 31st of May 2026 and own something special.
Save the date.
Wheels and Homes Fair is powered by Fidelity Bank Ghana Limited. Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
If I believe with us, Fidelity. If I know I lay aside, Fidelity.
Hello, welcome to News Tonight. Two senior high schools say Ghana Buffer Stock is refusing to disclose the cost of hundreds of bags of food supplied since 2024.
The foods with the way bill without the values. So when the auditors cited it, we quickly wrote to them thinking they would respond. They never responded to us.
That is still going on. Yes, please.
We have details, plus the Public Accounts Committee fumes over a 14-story Ghanaian property left to rot in the heart of New York.
Somebody supposedly removed insulation or something, and as a result, 14 stories. We used 3, almost 4. Goodness.
14 civil society organizations get the green light to join the case against the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The Supreme Court has given them 14 days to file their arguments.
I would want to thank the Supreme Court and the panel today for seeing our point of view and believing that we come with history.
And I hope that the Supreme Court will treat it with, the speed that it needs, because there are real life implications.
Major disruptions in electricity supply expected in several communities across 4 regions as ECG and Gridco undertake emergency maintenance works on Wednesday.
In business,
mining firms push for review of Ghana's royalty system to ensure host communities benefit more from these payments.
In sports,
Ghana set to face rivals Cote d'Ivoire in the AFCON 2027 qualifiers.
And a bit later, some residents of the Ayawaso North Municipality react with surprise and skepticism to recent figures released by the Ghana Statistical Service, which indicates that the area recorded Ghana's lowest multidimensional poverty rate in 2025.
So here can't be the richest. It's Ayawaso West.
Yeah, I think the poverty here is quite high as compared to Ayawaso West.
Feel free to share your thoughts with us on WhatsApp. The number is 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Details shortly. Good evening. The Ghana Buffer Stock Company is under fire for allegedly concealing invoices and costs for food items supplied to schools since 2024. The issue came up at today's Public Accounts Committee sitting, where the Auditor General flagged 2 senior high schools for failing to account for hundreds of bags of cartons delivered. First, let's listen to headmistress for Ahamanso Islamic Senior High School on the challenges they face in retrieving full details of the items from the Ghana Buffer Stock Company.
Our school food items are being supplied by the National Buffer Stock Company. They only accompany the foods with the way bill without the values. So when the auditors cited it, we quickly wrote to them thinking they would respond. They never responded to us. So we've sent our response to the Auditor General, the audit team, and definitely they forwarded it.
Her session was collaborated by Headmaster of St. Mary's Seminary Institute, Lolobi, Reverend Father Felix Akbar, who revealed the phenomenon still persists.
This has been a problem since I was made a headmaster. The buffer stock brings food to us just with invoice, even sometimes not even the suppliers, but the driver, and then we just sign and send back. Anytime we ask our coordinators, they always inform us that they will inform the headquarters and they will get back to us. And we've been asking for this for several times, and they never give us any response to it. So that is the reason.
Okay. So how could you find out the value of the stock that they've brought to you?
Please, we don't have any means unless they tell us. And even that's why I'm saying that even the suppliers, we don't know them to ask.
Is it what is happening now?
Please, in almost all the schools.
No, is it what is happening now?
Yes, please.
You still get invoices without prices on it?
Yes, please.
That is still going on?
Yes, please.
GS, what's going on?
The last time we explained that buffer stock things, that's a contract between them and the suppliers. And my understanding from the committee was that this issue will be referred to, taken up to buffer stock so that they try to change that. They should have copies given to the schools, except that somebody said you can check on their system online to see their rates. But for the schools, the committee said it will take it up to draw their attention to.
That will be one of the issues that GS, you'll be working on it, and later on we'll call buffer stock. This is not right.
Yes,
you can't supply stuff to the school without letting them know how much flour, for example, costs, or rice. And they need to have prices.
Let's get talking and bring in Emmanuel Arthur. He's the head of corporate affairs at the Ghana Buffer Stock Company. Emmanuel, welcome to the program. Is it standard practice that you deliver food to the schools without disclosing the cost to them?
We are talking about, that has been the practice. And it is not so with any ill motive. I will take you through, if we have to, I'll take you through the protocol.
Please be
brief.
So
the beginning of the academic year, what we call the pricing committee meets. And this committee comprises representatives from the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, and then CHAS, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools. So they fix together, and buffer stocks also part. So we meet and we fix these prices. When that is done, the ministry, GES, writes to PPA, Public Procurement Authority, for approval. When that approval comes, then it's communicated to all the parties, and then the supply takes place. So all the parties are aware of the prices. It's not as if somebody or buffer stock is going to hide somewhere and has created its own prices. We don't want anybody to see or something. No, the prices are known to all the stakeholders. And you know, the schools belong to GES or the Ministry of Education. And they are the ones who gave us one instruction that send food to the schools. It is food we are supposed to send to the schools. And that's what we do. We thought that
Gemma
if
here.
the schools needed...
Hello, Mr. Arthur. Gemma here. If you say all parties, does that include the headmasters and headmistresses of the secondary schools? Because we heard from two of them today at the PAC sitting, and they said they did not know the cost of the food items.
Yeah, so when I mentioned the composition of the pricing committee, I mentioned CHAS. And that is the Association of the Headmasters and Headmistresses. They have always been part of the committee that...
Is that to say that the heads of those schools lied under oath?
I'm thinking that maybe, because usually they send representatives to that meeting. It is not all headmasters or all school heads who make it to the meeting.
But at least they report back to them.
Representatives who go to the meeting don't brief them. But you can also do your own checks with the Ministry of Education, where these meetings are always held. It always has the representatives from the school heads and GES and the ministry itself, buffer stock, and then of course Ghana Commodity Exchange. The food is not supplied by only buffer stock; it's supplied by two entities, buffer stock and Ghana Commodity Exchange.
So, what is the state of food supply to the schools as we speak?
Say again.
What is the state of food supplies to the schools as we speak?
Well, as we speak, there is no school that can say that they don't have they have food challenge. All the schools have, I mean, for the first time in many years, they have more than they even need at a time. And of course, I think your channel, your platform has even done stories about schools having problems with storage facilities. Now they have so much that where to even store them is a problem. So no school has a problem with food as we speak.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Arthur. He's the head of corporate affairs at the Ghana Buffer Stock Company. And James Aveji is at the Public Accounts Committee. He's been there throughout the week. He's joining me on Zoom for more on this. James, the Public Accounts Committee has also expressed disappointment with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs over the continued neglect of Ghana's mission building in New York. Tell us a bit about it.
Yes, Ken. So this is a 14-story building owned by the government of Ghana, which should have been serving as offices or, could have been rented to private persons to use for businesses through which the government could have been generating some revenues from. The Auditor General's report on the indicated that since 2007, this building has been abandoned and only 3 to 4 floors are currently being put to use.
Madam, your building in New York is 14 floors and you use only 3 floors. And that place is in center of town, of New York. I think it's 47th floor, 47th Street, so.
Yes, sir. It's in a prime location.
Very prime location. Somebody supposedly removed insulation or something, and as a result, 14 stories. We use 3 or most 4. Goodness, do you know if this building, we could use all 14 floors, the revenue that we will get from rent, or some of our embassy people wouldn't have to rent from somewhere?
We are working on it as part of our strike, so it's work in progress.
Madam, I'm disappointed because the time that I went there was 2007. 2007, and it's still work in progress. 2007, you were only using 3 floors out of 14 floors. And General Achampong was the one, I think, who bought that building. center of New York.
Right, that there is the ranking member on the Public Accounts Committee. James, I still have you on Zoom. Was there any reaction from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
Yes, Ken. Thankfully, the Deputy Minister, James Gyasi, was before the committee, and he assured that as we speak, there's been some engagement to give out 4 additional floors to put to use, and assuring that this government would make sure the entire floor is occupied before they leave office.
That your observation is a little bit way outdated. If you have not been there recently, we are using more than 3 floors right now. But in the same token, we are working to improve.
How many floors are you using, Honorable Minister?
Well, I can assure you about 7 to 8 floors.
So, let's give you that we are using 8 floors.
Yes.
And it's 14 floors.
Yes. It's based on investment, renovation, all kinds of aspects. So we are entering this new phase of stride where we're trying to own our properties, renovate all the structures. So it's one of our prime observations, and we are going to work on it as soon as finances are released.
That's the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. James, anything else of interest that happened today?
Well, Ken, today has largely been about senior high school infractions, ranging from head teachers not being able to retrieve textbooks, from students running into tens of thousands of CDs. But the most important or key is from the Anglo-Afiadingba Senior High School, who engaged some 5 casual workers in 2024 for 9 months. And guess what? They paid them 250 Ghana cedis per month, which is woefully below the 490 cedis minimum wage. The committee has directed them to go back and pay the arrests and report back to them.
James Avaji there. Thank you.
The 14 civil society organizations seeking to join the controversial case challenging the powers of the Office of the Special Prosecutor have expressed satisfaction following the Supreme Court's decision to admit them as interested parties in the case. The 7-member panel, presided over by Chief Justice Paul Bafoboni, held that the inclusion of the CSOs would be significant in finally determining the matter. My colleague from the Legal Affairs Desk, Fatau Bayaga, joins me in studio with more on today's proceedings. Fatau, first of all, bring us up to speed on what transpired in court today.
Gemma, these are top civil society organizations in Ghana. They were seeking to join this particular case as amici curiae, and in fact they say that they understand the OSP Act. They've been following this for years. In fact, they were consulted before the OSP's Act was passed. In fact, they said that they engaged the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament prior to the passage of the OSP's Act. So they know this particular Act so well, and they believe that they have very important, very critical information that will assist the Apex Court in ultimately determining this particular matter. And just shortly after that, Gemma, the lawyers of the applicants, that's the 14 CSOs led by Kizito Bayo, Samson Ladi Ayenini, and Clement Akapam, came out from the courtroom and then addressed the press, basically saying that they are happy with the decision taken by the Apex Court, and this is very important, particularly in ensuring that they strengthen the fight against corruption. So we can listen to Samson Ladi Ayenini and that of Clement Akapam.
As you heard the lead counsel, Kizito Bayo, clearly put before the court, we believe that when I say we, not as lawyers, I'm talking about the CSOs that are coming in, believe that the court deserves a certain view that is currently missing in the argument. And that's what has been put before the court. And thankfully, as you heard, my lords, they have read the brief, and they appreciate that it is important and it will help the court to come to, as His Lordship said, the Chief Justice said, a lasting solution. So this is good news for us as a team.
As you heard our lead counsel, Senior Kizito Bayo, say, we are appearing before the court on behalf of these 14 NGOs as neutrals, and as neutrals to bring a certain perspective to the case. So our main argument is for the court to look at the history on the establishment of this office, and we are calling the court's attention to some interpretative matters that they will also need to look at. So that's what we can say up until this point, because we are now going to put our full arguments before the court, and we don't want the court to be hearing it in the media before it gets to their table. So this is what we can say in.
Fatah, I'm sure the CSOs were excited about this development.
Absolutely. So when the court made this particular decision, we could see Mary Awelena Ada and Kojo Pumpuni Asante clearly, excited with the determination or the step taken by the Supreme Court. They believe that fight against corruption is something critical. It will save the state resources, among other things. And they believe that this is a first critical step in getting to that particular point. We can listen to them.
Certainly, first of all, we must say we are very grateful to the panel for reading through our brief and agreeing that as independents, as they also represent independence, it is a good thing that we want to join. And so we would want to thank the Supreme Court and the panel today for seeing our point of view and believing that we come with history, we come with a certain competence to join this case.
But it's I think that's why this case is so important. And I hope that the Supreme Court will treat it with, the speed that it needs, because there are real life implications and impact already, even without the court determining, on our prosecution processes. Cases have been suspended. If you ask prosecutors when you are prosecuting a case and you get this interruption, it may give the accused, certain advantages that is not helpful. So this is very, very important. So the most important thing is that we can have finality.
Let's now speak with private legal practitioner and law lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Justice Abdullahi, for more legal analysis on this. Welcome to News 9. How significant is this move by the Supreme Court to admit the CSOs as interested parties in this case?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think arguably this is one of the most important things the Supreme Court has done. By not allowing the arguments before it and the influences that come with the case to be limited to the two parties before the court. We should remember that based on the posture of the Attorney General, we already have a sense of what the Attorney General stands to gain or lose in this subject. And so having a third party to make an input into this subject for me is arguably one of the best things to be done, because it then gives a broader view as to what the Supreme Court will be looking at. Mind you, remember that the whole essence of law is to allow for social re-engineering and limiting your scope to the parties before you in a matter such as important as this would have been a disservice to all of us. And so it is a great news that the Supreme Court has allowed this to happen, and we believe that they will bring different dimensions to this issue, different perspectives that would shape the thoughts and the final decision that the Supreme Court will ultimately make when the matters get to the point where decision needs to be made.
We've had these CSOs over the period defend the OSP Act religiously. Now they've been admitted as friends of the court to provide the Supreme Court another perspective. Are we not going to see just the perspective of the OSP Act if the Supreme Court, now that the Supreme Court has admitted them as friends of the court?
Indeed, you are right that almost everyone in this issue has an objective to achieve, and I think it is not lost on us as to the positions of almost all the sides, whether as an independent person or the party strictly so-called in the suit. Their arguments are well known, but the angle based on which everyone will be coming from will be little different. And so it is true that everybody will be reinforcing his position and in this matter. But the good part is that the Supreme Court will then have the different views, the different angles, based on which they can also come to a determination of the matters before it.
The applicants say this case goes beyond the OSP and touches on Ghana's anti-corruption fight. Legally, how important is this argument?
Unfortunately for us, it is very true to put it that way, considering that the OSP has been touted as arguably one of the most unique creatures of our statutory architecture to fight corruption. However late it has been in coming, and however difficult its position has been since its creation almost 8 years ago. But I think it is believed out there, all of us, that indeed, if there is any institution that is better fit to fight corruption, the OSP has been touted as one of the best. And so it is for our collective good that we will build a stronger and a better OSP, considering the trust that we have in it. And this is one of the means, particularly the decision from the Supreme Court would be one of the means that would either strengthen or, if you like, completely scatter the entire foundation in the fight against corruption in Ghana.
We are grateful for your time. Justice Abdullah is a private legal practitioner and law lecturer at UPSA.
You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country. Temporary power cuts are expected to hit dozens of communities in parts of Accra East, Accra West, Tema Central, Ashanti and Volta regions as the Ghana Grid Company and the Electricity Company of Ghana carry out extensive planned and emergency maintenance works alongside critical infrastructure upgrades on Wednesday. According to advisories issued by the power distributors, the outages will begin at varying times across the affected areas, with durations depending on the scope of work at each location. Well, Gridco will also conduct emergency maintenance works at the Aflao bulk supply point. My colleague Michelle Latte is joining me in the studio with the announced schedules. Michelle, what areas are going to be affected?
So can we look at the Tema region and the affected areas? I'm just mentioning a few. So we have Saki, Bediako, Gulf City, Ajen Kotoku and its surrounding areas. You come to the Accra East, we are looking at areas like Ability, the Hachuchocho Station, Agbogba, 37 and its surrounding areas. Come down to Accra West, we have Broadcasting, the new Botiano and its surrounding areas. Come also to the central region, we are looking at parts of the Palm Township and some towns within Gumwa and its other surrounding areas. For the Ashanti region, we are looking at Abore and Chinchinase. And for the Volta region, where Gridco is having their maintenance works on the Aflao bulk supply point, we are looking at Denu, Aflao, Keta and parts of Akachi and other surrounding areas also, Ken.
Michelle, thank you. Let's go on to Zoom and speak to Dr. Charles Ni Ayiku. Ayiku is the General Manager for External Communications at the Electricity Company of Ghana. He's joining me right now. Welcome to the program. We often hear the Electricity Company of Ghana announcing planned maintenance happening, but this seems to be happening simultaneously in other regions. What exactly is going to be the maintenance?
Okay, thank you very much for having me, and good evening to your listeners as well as your viewers. So, conducting maintenance works on our lines are part of our routine works. And I also want to establish that ECG is part of a value chain. We have the generation side, we have the transmission side and the distribution side. ECG is part of the distribution side. So whenever there is any activity within these parts of the value chain, it affects each other. So for instance, the activity or the maintenance being carried out in the Volta region is part of an emergency maintenance works at the Aflao box supply point. So, of course, if there's any maintenance work, any community or areas being served from this line would be affected. When it comes to the Accra East region, it has been announced that this outage is due to a fault on the Taifa Burkina feeder. So as I said, I mean, we conduct routine maintenance works, and when it's due, we have to do it. You have to, because if we don't conduct these maintenance works, of course, it will affect our entire system. Just as you have your maintenance works on your vehicles, we also have scheduled maintenance on our lines. In fact, we have the planned and the unplanned. The planned are the ones that, of course, we know tomorrow we are going to do it, and then we give you the notice. But the emergency, I mean, some of them are caused by act of God. It could be rainstorm, it could be an accident from a truck or a moving vehicle, and all of this. So these are part of the activities that we've put in place to ensure that our networks are stable, they are efficient, and they'll serve our customers better. We do apologize the inconvenience which would have caused our affected customers. I mean, but then it's for the good of it, and we need to maintain our lines to make it better and serve our customers. So if we are able to get a response from the Gridco side that they are done, then we are able to get supply to our customers. If you were asking a question.
How long are they expected to be without light, the affected areas?
So it depends. You know, your reporter gave you several areas. For instance, when you look at the issue around the Gridco side, is expected to be completed by 4 p.m. Right? When you look at the other areas that she mentioned, that is the Accra West, because of the fault must be investigated, right? So once we are in the investigations and we are able to ascertain the cause, we'll be able to rectify it and get our customer back online.
You've been accused by most Ghanaians that you now hide behind planned maintenance to take out the lights, when really there's a bigger problem than those planned maintenances that you mentioned.
My brother, you have a very good working relations with the Electricity Company of Ghana. We've announced these outages or these disruptions.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not true, you can go check for yourself. It's very simple. I get it. You can go check for yourself.
Right.
I mean, why would we hide behind? This is a public institution. Our operations are transparent and open. If we announce that there's a challenge or there's a transformer fault at Glefe and you don't believe it, as a media house, you can drive there. We've given the location and the areas. You can go ascertain for yourself.
Well, I never said I don't believe it. I say that those are concerns from Ghanaians, not from me.
Yes. So as a friend of the company, I mean.
Hello, Dr. Ayiku. Are you still with me? Oh dear, we appear to have lost Dr. Ni Ayiku.
It's because we want to be transparent.
Right.
We want to be transparent and open to our customers, and we've done that.
Okay.
So we continue to be open and transparent with our customers, share every single information with them, and make sure that we continue to build that trust that they have in us.
Dr. Charles Ni Ayiku, thank you very much. He's the General Manager for External Communications at the Electricity Company of Ghana.
Some residents of the Ayawaso North municipality have expressed shock and disbelief following recent data released by the Ghana Statistical Service, which indicates that the municipality recorded the lowest multi-dimensional poverty incidence in Ghana in 2025 at 5.5%. The figure, which assesses poverty beyond beyond income by factoring in access to education, healthcare, living conditions, employment, and urban infrastructure has been strongly questioned by some residents who say it does not reflect their daily realities. Maxwell Agbagba caught up with two long-time residents of Kaukudi who said that despite being in a central urban setting, many households still struggle with unemployment and more. We'll bring you more of that conversation shortly. But first, Jason Day from the Joy News Research Desk with details of the Ghana Statistical Service findings. Jason, give us a broader picture of this multi-dimensional situation in all the 261 districts.
Well, Gemma, it's important to know that this is the first time that Ghana has produced this kind of data on the incidence of multidimensional poverty across all 261 districts in Ghana. The study covered the living conditions from 2021 through to 2025, not only looking at the income of the individuals, but also about the access to education, healthcare, decent housing, jobs and opportunities, clean water, and the sanitation within the district. The fact sheets that we've been analyzing show that each district revealed that in 2021, 117 districts were below the national average. Fast forward to 2025, that number reduced to 93. What that means is that 24 districts have moved above the national average. And also the data goes on to reveal that 95% of districts in Ghana recorded reductions in multidimensional poverty incidents in 5 years. What that means is that 250 districts have improved their poverty incidents, with Wa West district in the Upper West region recording the largest improvement of 61% in 5 years. And on the other hand, the Guan district of the OT region recorded the largest worsening in multidimensional poverty incidents, worsening by nearly 20% in 5 years.
Thank you very much, Jason. Well, some residents of the Ayawaso North municipality have expressed shock and disbelief, as I told you earlier, following the data released by the Statistical Service, which indicates that the municipality recorded the lowest multidimensional poverty incidence in Ghana in 2025 at 5.5%. Maxwell Agbagba was in Kaukudi and has been engaging some of them.
Now, between 2022 and 2023, Ayawaso West Municipal in the Greater Accra region consistently ranked as the district with the lowest multidimensional poverty levels in Ghana, reflecting its relatively strong access to services, income opportunities, and urban infrastructure. However, by the end of 2025, fresh data from the Ghana Statistical Service shows a notable shift. Ayawaso North Municipal has now overtaken Ayawaso West, emerging as a district with the lowest recorded multi-dimensional poverty. Now you want to ask yourself, when we're talking about Ayawaso North, which areas are we looking at? We are looking at Accra Newtown, Nima, Mamobi, Kaukudi, Alajo, Kotopabi, Big Farm, parts of Abelenke and its environs. I'm here at Kaukudi, and we're here to find out from the people whether they think this finding by the Ghana Statistical Service is a true reflection of the situation on the ground. We are finding out from them, picking up their lay perspective on these new findings by the Ghana Statistical Service. And I have two gentlemen here with me. Hi, what's your name?
Kwame Yeboadanso.
Great. And then you?
I'm Kelvin Adolfo.
What's your own assessment of it, and judging from what you've seen here in this municipality?
No, it's not.
Okay.
To be Ayawaso West, consisting of Roman Ridge, East Legon, that part. But if you take the Ayawaso North in a ratio out of 10, a rich person will be, a rich to middle class people will be something like 2.4, because like it's not really this area, the rich are not really enough, but like here when you are rich, okay, and when you are poor, and here also seems like a slum. Okay. And slums, usually it's a cause of poverty. So here can't be the richest. It's Ayawaso West.
Okay, interesting perspective there. So you are saying that you do not think that the Ayawaso North municipality is a district with the lowest recorded multidimensional poverty. Okay, now what about you?
Yeah, from my perspective, I also think he's right. I don't think Ayawaso North has the lowest poverty. Yeah, I think Ayawaso West is better when it comes to maybe people being comfortable than Ayawaso North. Yeah, I think the poverty here is quite high as compared to Ayawaso West.
Okay. In terms of urban infrastructure, access to services, income opportunities, and urban infrastructure, which are some of the benchmarks being used to determine this, do you think there's enough here in this municipality in terms of access to services, income opportunities, and urban infrastructure? What's your assessment of that in this municipality? I also know.
To be honest, I don't really think there is enough of anything in this country.
Okay.
In this country, I don't think so. Yeah.
Right, so that's Maxwell Agbagba engaging some residents of Ayawaso North. Let's go into the telephone lines and speak to Harriet Nyama. She is the country director for Send Ghana. Welcome to the program, Harriet. You've been listening to some residents in Ayawaso North municipality saying that the 5.5% poverty incidence does not reflect their lived expectations. What could explain the gap between statistical data and public perception?
Thank you very much, and good evening to all your listeners. For the issue at stake, I would say that Statistical Service has done this assessment involving all districts. And so they have indicators that they have assessed regarding the districts. And they have realized that some districts are more endowed than other districts. And so those who are less endowed are those who find themselves in the poverty, multidimensional poverty bracket. Citizens of Ayawaso are looking at it from their own perspective. They are looking at it from their environment, what they are experiencing, what they go through daily, what they see in their district, not comparing it to any other district. And so in that sense, they could say that the 5.5 does not reflect what they see and experience in their environment. But compare what they have with other districts, then we could say that a certain district is either poorer than them or even richer than them. If you want to compare the two districts, the poorest and the richest, or those with 5.5% and those with a higher percentage, you could see that besides income, Ayawaso has infrastructure. They have some drainage, they have roads, they have electricity, even if it's unstable. They have some sanitation facilities up to a certain level. The water systems are there. They access clean water. The schools are there. The health facilities are there. They have a district or a municipal hospital. That is the Mamobi Hospital. The one district has no hospital. They have just about 13 health facilities made up of polyclinic and CHIPS. And so if you want to put all of these into perspective, then it could mean, or it is, that they are better off than another district. That is just it. And so this kind of disparity or this kind of misunderstanding of how public perception could be of their unawareness of the situation in other places, for them to be able to compare and accept what Statistical Service has put out. And it demands that some of these things, education is given, or the data that is put out gives very detailed information of what services, for instance, are found in each of these districts. That makes one better than the other. And then I believe the public will understand why it is so.
Right. The report also shows that 95% of districts in the country recorded improvements in multidimensional poverty over a period of 5 years. From your perspective, what national or local policies may have contributed to this trend?
Well, thank you. Over the years, I think that there have been government interventions, even though it might not have yielded results to our expectations. These interventions might have, in one way or the other, contributed. We still have health. Health is a very big contributor to living conditions and considered in the multidimensional assessment. We have the health insurance, and it has given a lot more people, especially within the lower bracket, the opportunity to access health facilities. There have been improvements in health infrastructure, especially fixed, and government intervention in putting up district or regional hospitals to make health accessible. Education, same. We have free SHS that has come to help so people can go to school, and a lot more people have benefited. We have, in the previous administration, the Planting for Food and Jobs. This government has also come in with other ones. We are building our road infrastructure and drainage, even though the expectations for these are still very high, and government has to do more. These have all contributed. We have had times where our inflation rates have gone down, and we have celebrated, and it impacted the cost of living. But it goes up and down, and it's not stable. So somehow these have contributed to the reduction of poverty in our country, though not to our expected results, but we have made progress.
Harriet Nyama, thank you very much. She's the country director for Send Ghana. We will read a couple of the messages you sent to our WhatsApp platform after this, but in the meantime, let's do business. And George is here with the latest.
Well, Kenneth, coming up in business, monetary that is be getting you more in terms of the views coming from the mining firms that are actually making a strong case for the royalty system to ensure that host communities benefit more from these payments. And Ghana's total debt stock increases marginally to 647 billion Ghana cedis in February this year, but as ratio to GDP decreases marginally to 42.2%. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials.
Visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast, University Bookshop, Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic, Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
This is where the future of global finance takes shape. Join over 500 leading financial market professionals and decision makers from Africa, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and beyond at the prestigious ACI World Congress Accra 2026, happening at the luxurious Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, Accra, on Thursday, May 21st and Friday, May 22nd, 2026, starting at 8 a.m. Proudly co-hosted by the Central Bank of Ghana with support from Bloomberg, London Stock Exchange, Ghana Stock Exchange, Deutsche Börse Group, through 360T, and many more. Here's where we shape the future of capital markets, foreign exchange, investment banking, treasury, commodities, and risk management. Experience insightful discussions, powerful networking, Ghanaian hospitality, and an unforgettable gala night. ACI World Congress Accra 2026, delivering more than an experience. Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became number one. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start. Every mosquito study run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the country's total debt stock has increased marginally to reach new levels. Data from Bank of Ghana show that it reached 674 billion Ghana cedis ending February this year. There is more in this report.
The new figure is slightly higher than the about 641 billion cedis recorded ending December last year. The data also showed that when it comes to Ghana's debt as a share of the economy or debt to GDP ratio, it has declined further to new levels of 42.2%. Ghana's external debt in cedi terms ending February stood at 313 billion cedis, while the domestic debt was pegged at 360 billion cedis. The new data also showed that Ghana is on track when it comes to the country's debt reaching sustainable levels. Also, this might give government that space to borrow to finance infrastructure development.
And that is the Business Desk report. And the Ghana cedi has depreciated by some 8.4% against the US dollar as at May this year. And that is compared to an appreciation of more than 40% in the same period for last year. The local currency has been under some pressure over the past 3 weeks, fueled by sudden surge in demand by businesses. In a separate development, the country's international reserves has hit $14.4 billion. This actually marks a significant spike from the 13.8 billion Ghana cedis recorded in December last year. Meanwhile, Ghana's total gold reserves reached 22.3 tons in April this year compared to 18.6 ending last year. Now, economist at Aston Business School, Dr. Sai Charadi, says that reduction in the Bank of Ghana's policy rate will only stimulate economic growth if commercial banks translate them to lower lending rate. Speaking at the Institute of Economic Affairs Economic Policy Forum on interest rates and economic development in Ghana, he says banks must respond effectively to these monetary policy easing.
I think Bank of Ghana has been doing a good job in terms of cutting the rates. That, of course, is dictated by the reduction in inflation. So every central bank looks at the data, that how the inflation numbers are. If the inflation numbers are going down, they tend to cut the rates. And the Bank of Ghana is doing the right thing in terms of that. The important thing is that monetary policy rate cut should be translated into the lending rate cut, because this is where the credit goes to the productive sectors, to the private sector, to businesses, to really invest into the businesses, and that translates into the GDP growth.
Sajid Chudi is an economist at the Aston Business School, that is at the University of Aston. Now, mining firms are pushing for a total review of Ghana's royalty system to ensure that a lot more host communities benefit from these payments. The move has been influenced by recent claims that Ghana and these mining towns are not benefiting from the sector. This is despite the significant increase in royalty payments by these companies in Ghana. Kanashibe is chief executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines.
The way we've structured our mining laws are such that these monies do not go directly back into these communities to help in the development. So in as much as the companies who do their corporate social responsibility, that is why when the royalties were being increased, one of the proposals that we made to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is that he has some heritage projects that he wants to.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Ken Ashigbe. Now, Acting Chief Executive of the Real Estate Agency Council, Emmanuel Jeffrey, has revealed that government is targeting the year 2028 to make affordable housing accessible to middle class and low-income earners in the society. He made these remarks at the 15th anniversary celebration of Enterprise Properties.
2 weeks ago, State Housing just launched affordable housing in Kumasi. That shows a lot of government initiative. You noticed a couple of months ago, there's another one, TDC in Volta region, Oxygen City. So you can notice that this government, especially my president, is somebody who thinks about affordable housing as key. Because we noticed that there's a strong deficit of about 1.5 million, and we have to work towards it. And you can see what the president is doing.
Emmanuel Jeffrey is acting chief executive of the Real Estate Agency Council. To the stock market, Zen Petrol was up by 44 pesos to close at 8 Ghana cedis. MTN was also up by 4 pesos to close at 6 Ghana cedis 53 pesos. GCB was up by 99 pesos to close at 36 Ghana cedis 99 pesos. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you. Let's do sports.
And Ghana has been drawn in Group C for the 2027 African Cup of Nations qualifiers set to begin later this year. The Black Stars have drawn with Cote d'Ivoire, Gambia and Somalia for the qualifiers for the tournament, which will be jointly hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Now, the four-time AFCON champions will be hoping to make a strong start to the qualifiers after failing to win any of their games in the qualifiers for the 2025 AFCON, which eventually meant they missed out in the competition in Morocco. Now, proud to missing out on the last edition of the tournament, the Black Stars also suffered back-to-back group stage eliminations in the previous two. Now, the opening match days are scheduled for the FIFA window from September 21 to October 6 this year. that's next year, before March Day 3 and 4 take place from 9 to 17 November 2026.
Thank you very much. And 24-year-old Sarah Akpalu lost her sight at age 8 after battling Stevens-Johnson syndrome, a rare skin disease. The condition has not stopped her dream of becoming a journalist. Ramat Bashiru has more in our continuing series, Disabled.
Hello, good evening and welcome to...
It's few hours to the 6 p.m. bulletin on campus radio at the University of Media, Arts and Communication. Sarah Balu goes over her scripts one more time before entering the studio.
I'm coming to you live from our studio here at 32nd.
The final year journalism student has done this many times on campus, but every bulletin still demands preparation, focus and confidence.
Maybe I find a topic and I research on it. Then I take some points, then I build on it to write my stories.
But Sarah's journey into journalism began with a sudden illness years ago.
I was having headache and I took some paracetamol. And the next day, I was feeling pains on the eye. It became serious on my skin. I am unable to. It left me with blindness.
Before losing her sight, Sarah dreamed of becoming a nurse or an accountant.
It seems all our professions are one or two sides. It's either you be a teacher or a lawyer or you work at the social welfare. So I decided to do something different, to come and see if I can break the barrier of we being limited to some occupations.
Sarah says acceptance has not always come easily. 2 years ago, she applied for an internship at a media house. What happened there nearly made her give up on journalism entirely.
I wanted to do my internship, but when I took my letter there, the receptionist told me that this work is for the sighted, so I felt bad.
For Sarah, journalism is a way to challenge perceptions about disability.
I become a journalist one day. I'll be able to speak for persons with disability, children.
But Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namomulati says the Disability Act protects their rights.
The implementation of the 5% employment captures people like Sarah. But by all means, she's on the right track.
Ramat Bashir for Joy News, Accra.
Yes.
And that's how we wrap up News Night tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. There are a couple of your messages that, for the sake of time, we are unable to read them for you. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi?
My name is Gemma, Appiah.
Don't forget to do the 2 this evening. Brush your teeth day and night with Pepsodent. Right after this is Geek Squad, and Appiah is already in the studio. What are we talking about?
About download speed. Most of us use the internet, and we need to really understand how these things work so that at least it would inform our decisions when we are buying data, or we can even check when we realize that we are in meetings and our internet is buffering. So that's what we're talking about.
It's a very, very important subject because a certain network I know, their internet speed is so bad.
I know what you are talking about.
We'll be listening.